running out. We've got 5 laps to go. Huffman and Vincent battle it out for the lead. Meanwhile, Chad Cole dukes it out for second as they go into turn 2.
Landon Huffman coming to a comfortable lead, coming out of 2. He's got about 8 car lengths, put it half a second over the lane distance as Chad Cole walks the number 2 spot.
And the winner in race number 1 of the chase for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series Championship and the Marvel Racing Maiden $400 will be Landon Huffman in his Chevrolet 55. Huffman goes 1. The road to the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship runs through the confines of the Homestead Miami Speedway this week. It's the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. Tim Terry, Mike Conti, Dakota Ehrman, and John Westling here to bring you all the action on ETV Live. And Mike, a very exciting race we saw 1 week ago at the Phoenix International Raceway. A lot of drivers that were in that race making a little bit of noise, not racing this evening due to the incident system. One thing remains the same, though. It's Chad Lawton on top, leading 97 laps to take the victory.
A dominating performance last week by Chad. He's really had a great start to the season. He's 2 for 3 right now as far as wins, and he was strong at Texas as well. So Lawton has definitely come out this season, and he's shown everyone that he is a real threat for this championship, and he's got experience under his belt with NASCAR 2003. I know he's done leagues in the past, so I'm sure he's been in a championship battle before, so I'm sure he's kind of using the knowledge that he gained from there to kind of prepare himself for this season, and it's definitely shown, like I said, really strong the first 3 weeks, and from what I've seen so far this week, in the Class A races on the Iracing service and the practice times and the pro practice sessions. Chad and his teammates definitely look to be the class of the field going to tonight. So we might see 3 for 4 from Chad if he can seal the deal again tonight.
And we saw a little bit earlier with that Phoenix video, Chad Lawton very dominant in that race, but Jarrett Crawford was there as well. Dustin Montgomery's been strong. Jake Sturgis gets his way in there for a great finish. Kenneth O'Keefe finishes in the top 5. Let's talk a little bit about the point standings here. And when we look at it, we saw Chad Lawton on top, and then you see guys like Jarrett Crawford, Adam Gilliland, Carson Downs, Dustin Montgomery, your top 5. The one name that really stands out to me there is Adam Gilliland. 3 races in, and albeit Chad is racking up the points right now, Adam Gilliland is quietly making his way up here.
Yeah, it definitely is. Adam is one of the more aggressive drivers that we see in the series, and so far in the first 3 races, he has done a nice job to kind of tone that aggression back just a little bit. and he's been strong each and every week. We see him up in the top 10, and he's been able to miss wrecks and play the strategy well, and he's come home uh, with two, actually no top fives yet this season. So it's been consistent top tens. His average finish is 11th. So Adam, we might see him get a top five tonight. I mean, it's definitely possible with the way he's been running. So Gilliland's definitely done well. Carson Downs has been strong. I think if he wouldn't have gotten flipped in the dog leg last week, he wouldn't be so many points behind now. He did get the pole last week at Phoenix, and he was a good top five car all race long until that accident. So Carson has done a fantastic job. Dustin Montgomery up there, he won at Texas. He's hanging in strong. Joey Brown up in sixth. He's been strong the first three races of the season. This week struggling a little bit in practice. So we'll see if that 12 car can get his act together before tonight. See if he can't pick up some time. Jake Sturgis, podium finisher in the IWGPS. He's doing pretty stellar so far too this season compared to his lackluster 2012 DWC efforts. So top 10, a lot of good names up there right now, Tim. And I think who we see up there now, I don't think it's going to change too much as far as Lawton, Crawford, Downs, Montgomery, Gilliland, all them. They're definitely contenders for this. But there's some other guys back there, maybe Danny Hansen, Matt Witten, Jarl Tyne, if he can put a race together, we might see them be able to crack the top 10 here tonight too.
The one big number there, though, is 31 points. Chad Lawton leads over Jarrett Crawford. There is one drop in this series, but you take that one drop away from Chad, it equates to 2 victories in this series so far through 3 races. So Chad definitely going to be one to watch and one to beat as we go through this season. Dakota Ehrman down on pit road. Your thoughts on Phoenix and your thoughts on the point standings heading in here tonight?
Well, obviously, Chad Lawton, I mean, he's proven to be somebody you're going to have to contend with. I mean, even in the WC series, it's kind of sucks that he had to go through this first series, but he's really going to be somebody that you've got to watch for in all series. He's shown it now, and I'm excited to see how those points play out, especially with so far how it's gone. I mean, if you look past 10th, I believe it's like between 9th and 14th, they're all within like a point or so from each other. So, I mean, the points are real close, and the fact that he's like got about a 31 point lead, I believe, is almost outstanding. It's amazing that he's able to do so well. And Phoenix in itself, the way they raced last week was pretty incredible for that being a wreckfest of a track. So.
And one thing I want to look at too, Mike, before we do go in to looking at this race upcoming, is the incident system. And we talked about it before, and we mentioned it a couple of wrecks last week, that some of these drivers, I'm sure, will be looked at for the amount of incidents that they get in the race. Of course, each caution is looked at and looked upon, and also some of the drivers coming into the wrecks, if they're not cautious, slowing down, getting into those wrecks, if they're pretty much barreling through a wreck and not really concerned about anybody else, then that's going to hurt them too, like Jeremy Allen. I believe he set a record last week for the incidents, 26 incident points. He will not be racing at all at the end of this season. He will not make the 2013 NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship after winning Daytona. I'm sure he is heartbroken about that. Patrick Fogel, 14 incident points last week to add to the 4 he had the week before. He will not be racing the rest of the season as well. And they will be on the bench along with Justin Thompson and Joshua B. Gerald, and we talked about his season at the start of the Pro Series. And then we have 3 drivers that were suspended due to incident totals last week. Dylan Duval, he got 14 incident points. He will not be racing this week, 1 week suspension. Matthew Moose, 1 week suspension. He will not be racing, as will Jeremy Thornton. So we have a little bit of a lighter field here this week, and a lot of those drivers having a tough run at Phoenix. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of drivers here that will be watching their incident totals as we head in to the Homestead Miami Speedway. I know Brandon Bookberger is close on incident points, and I believe there's 1 or 2 more that are hovering around that point as well. Chris Overland not here this evening. Benjamin Burmeister had 8 points last week, as did Carson Downs. So there's a few drivers that are hovering on that coveted 10 mark. Of course, if these drivers do get 10 incident points after the wrecks are looked at, then they will not be racing the following week.
It definitely, this incident system was put in place about a quarter of the way last season, last NISWC season, after this series got off to a slow start and a rough start because of a lot of aggressive driving and and cautions that really didn't need to be happening. So the Iracing officials and the DWC Board of Representatives came up with the incident system that is currently used in the DWC series and also the Pro Series this season. It's an ever-changing system. Like you said, it's 10 points now. That's the threshold. If you go over that, you're suspended. That might change after this season. And I think the system overall is doing its job. Though you talked about Jeremy Allen, you talked about Patrick Fogel, and they didn't live up to pro standards last week. And after in seeing how they've been lately, I don't really think they cared either way. So I don't think it's really any skin off their nose. Like I said, I don't really believe they cared about this season. It was just all fun and games for them. So the officials, through the incident system, have put an end to the fun games, and those two drivers are out. Richie Davidowitz is under close watch after his retaliation against Joey Brown in the closing laps last week. So he's not DQ'd yet, but the next time that he does race, if he does decide to come back and do another race, if he causes another wreck, I'm sure he'll be with his two teammates on the bench. So, like I said, the system is doing its job right now. Aggressive driving is not rewarded, and the clean drivers are going to be okay. If you don't cause any wrecks, you'll be fine. You're never going to be suspended. But if you're on that border, if you're driving a little bit too aggressively, you'll definitely know it when you're parked the next week.
And you talked about it. There is a fine line there. Of course, everybody's here to have a little bit of fun, but there is a professionalism level when you hit this series and also the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. And those two drivers that you mentioned, in my humble opinion, crossed that line last week, and they will not be joining us the rest of the season. Let's look at the fantasy standings. We started this last week here on ETV Live. Going to kick it down to Dakota to walk us through what happened last week and who's on top, and let him have his share of picks here first, too.
Well, so guys, last week was rather interesting. Not a good day for me in picks, but what we're doing right now is we're taking an A, B, and a C pick. I know we explained this last week. The A pick coming from the top 10 in points. The B pick, I believe, is 11th to 20th place, and 21st on back is the C pick. And so it makes things interesting because we don't want to run over each other's pick the same thing. You can only pick one driver per season, so it's rather interesting. I believe we're trying to get some fan interaction. Everybody will be able to do this later through Twitter and Facebook, but not quite this week, not quite ready for it. But last week we had Michael Conti picking, I believe, Chad Lawton, who ended up winning the race, Danny Hansen, who was not far behind, and Alex Ambrone, who had a very bad day. Tim Terry picked Jerry Crawford, Dustin Montgomery, and Kenneth O'Keefe, who all three did very well. And Tim was actually able to get 122 points as Michael Conti was 94. I picked three guys that I thought would be decent and ended up finishing every one of them in the back: Richard Doucette, Josh Connors, and Landon Huffman. So I'm down to 41 points, which is rather upsetting. But my picks for this week actually are a guy that I feel he deserves a break and it's his time to shine tonight would be Joey Brown. I just think tonight's the night he comes back. I also picked Kenneth O'Keefe and CM Brown, who was also down in the standings, I believe.
Yes, this week I'm going to try to bypass my fellow commentator, Tim, and I'm going with the A pick this week with Dustin Montgomery. One of the Wheelmen cars. Wheelman is 3 for 3 this season. Montgomery won on the last mile-and-a-half racetrack at Texas. So we're going to go with Montgomery, and after Montgomery, we're going to go with Witten for the B pick, and Josh Lawton for the C pick, Tim.
And looking at mine, I really wanted to roll everything back a little bit and give you guys a chance to catch up. But, of course, these guys are good picks, so I don't think they're going to let you have an opportunity to catch up. We're going to go with the J Show teammates for my A and B pick. We're going to go with Carson Downs. We're going to go with Danny Hansen. Of course, Danny just got back from Homestead. I know Carson's probably been working hard on getting something ready for the team as well. So we'll pick those two. Carson is going to rebound after last week. Danny always puts up a good show. Those two Pro Geek Consulting cars, I'm sure they're going to put up a good showing for Matt Salo. My C pick is Landon Huffman. Had a tough break last week, and of course, he's feeling a little under the weather here this week. So the easiest way to get a race done is to finish first and finish up in front so you can get it done the quickest. We're going to go with Landon Huffman on the C bracket for the fantasy, so we'll see how we do throughout this race. We're going to step away for a quick moment. We will be back with your starting grid, your national anthem, and the race from the Homestead Miami Speedway for the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. Don't go away.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Homestead Miami Speedway, the site for round number 4 of the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. Just a few moments away from going to the grid. Guys, final thoughts before we go green. Mike, what do we expect of this 134-lap race?
Yeah, lots and lots of long green flag runs tonight. Really wide track with variable banking all the way around. So there's going to be not really multiple racing grooves like you see in real life, but you know, there is one distinguished groove, but there's plenty of room to move around and avoid people and try to give people room early on. Unlike last week at Phoenix, where it was really congested. So a lot of green flag racing. Hopefully these guys run their long run setups tonight because they're definitely going to need it. Dakota, what are you hearing down in pit road?
Yeah, guys. What I've so far is about 55 to 60 laps on fuel. Saving the tires, it will be important tonight. And throttle control, a big thing tonight as well, guys.
Going to be something to watch as we go through this event as the warm-up session has concluded. We have a 34-car field here this afternoon, or this evening, here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Let's go down our grid for round number 4. On the pole, 83, Jarrett Crawford puts in a time of 30.571. And to the outside, returning to the series, it's Josh Berry, 72, at a 30.596.
And before we continue down the grid, I just want to send it down trackside really quick for the command to start engines.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Starting the second row tonight will be Rich Doucette, the 96 car with a 30.598. Starting outside of him is his wheelman teammate, the number 40 of Josh Lawton.
We have Chad Lott, your point leader, rolling off from position number 5 into the outside. It's the number 8 of Dustin Montgomery.
Garrett Crone holding down the 7th starting spot tonight in number 07 car. Starting outside of him is his Schmitten Chassis Works teammate, Adam Gillen.
Field begins to roll off. It's an all-international row number 5, Philip Geis on the inside in the 58, and Jarl Tyen will start the 04 from 10th.
Thomas Hazard in 11th tonight, and outside of him, Cody Bias in 12th.
Brad Wright will roll off from 13th position to the outside, 32 of Paul Kashiba.
The 15 car starting at 15th tonight, that's Josh Connors. Outside of Connors is going to be the 92 of Casey Malone.
Brandon Schmidt rolls off from 17th, and Yuka Savalainen rolls off from 18th.
Danny Hansen, the 78, starts 19th tonight. Rounding out your top 20 will be the 73 of Kenneth O'Keefe.
Matt Witt in the 69 rolls off next, with Peter Bennett rolling off in 22nd.
71 of Kyle Gatula starting 23rd. Outside of him, Carson Downs.
Alex Shamrock rolls off from position number 25, and Landon Huffman 26th.
Jake Sturgis comes in the 27th spot, and outside of him, Brandon Cattell in number 14 and 28.
Rob Ackley rolls off in 29th, and completing your top 30 is Brandon Bookberger.
Vinny Sansone, Andrew Fash, and Matt Busa, and also Benjamin Burmeister, they're going to round out your field. Green flag is out. Jared Crawford gets off to a great start over the second place starter of Josh Berry. Berry spins his tires a little bit, and they race down to the turn 1.
Berry has to hold off now, the 96 and 40 as they go side by side. Rich Doucette on the inside, Josh Lawton on the outside. The 8 of Dustin Montgomery runs in position number 5. We come up off corner number 2, down the back straightaway on lap number 1.
The battle continues for third down into turn number 3. Doucette looks like he's going to have it getting to the center right there. Now it's going to be Lawton trying to hold off Montgomery. 8 car is going to show his nose on the bottom right there. He's going to get a nice run off. Looks like Lawton's going to try to follow him as well. That's Chad Lawton, the 26 back there. That's Brothers, the number 40 and the 26. 40's going to clear the 8 into 1 and 2, and he's going to hold that position.
8 car closes in on the number 44, the spot. They go single file throughout the top 20 right now as guys try to find a place in line to run. Looking back here, it looked like the 07 of Derek Crone was looking to make something happen on the 81 of Adam Gilliland, 58 Philip Geis, 04 Jarl Tynan. They're all back there looking to make something happen around that 10th place spot.
Right now, it looks like the first battle is back here with Juka Savalainen as he gets the wall glue down the front stretch still in the wall. He's back to 23rd. Make that almost maybe 24th or 25th right now. Juka started in the 22nd, the 18th position, so he's down about 7 or 8 spots right now. So that 13 car not going the right direction early on, as it looks like he's going to get passed as well by Kyle Tula to 3.
Yeah, he's got him lined up behind the 75 of Landon Huffman, now looking to the inside, 41-14, also side by side behind him with Sturgis and Cattell. And I believe after that, maybe Rob Ackley looking to make something happen in position number 29 as he sees a whole lot of side-by-side in front of him.
Yeah, this is really the only side-by-side action right now. Actually, I look way up the field. Looks like Cody Bias is trying to make a move with Brad Wright on the inside of him now. Wright's going to try to take position. Bias car in the wall up in front of there. Jarl gets stuck to the wall going to 3. He's going to miss the corner completely. Here comes the 48 right to the bottom. Not going to get under the 04 off of turn number 4. Now it's Bias and Kashiba side by side down the front stretch.
And as you keep a half eye on that battle up there, Mike, I'm still watching this 22, 41, and 13 battle for about 28th place right now. The 22 of Rob Ackley tried to make it 3 wide on the 41 and 13, had to pull his foot out of it. And now he's going to try to make the move on Jukka Savolainen for the spot as they go side by side down the back straightaway. Savolainen now has his hands full as here comes Benjamin Burmeister looking to make a move.
And Burmeister started the tail end of the field in 34th after he didn't take a qualifying time. And Burmeister looks like he cracked the top 30 right there. He's in 30th. Right now, it looks like he wants to take 29th from Savolainen. They go side by side through 1 and 2. Savolainen a couple grooves up. That's what that variable banking will do for you. And you got someone pinched down there in the bottom. Nice run up off, but 66 gets some drive off right there. Burmeister down the backstretch. He's going to clear him into turn 3. Now Savolainen's going to worry about Bookberger in 17.
Yeah, here comes Brandon Bookberger in that 17 trying to make a move on the 13 car of Jukka Savolainen as they come up off corner number 4. This is your battle for 29th place, or check that 30th place as they go down into corner number 1. There's lots of fantastic battles around this racetrack, and you see that battle 66 and 13. We talk about this being an international series. A couple of drivers from Europe racing for those positions as here comes Benjamin Burmeister looking on Rob Ackley.
Burmeister's going to try to take another position away right there. It looks like he can really get a lot of drive up off the corner. That 66 can. Nice run through the center of 3 and 4, and he's going to take away the 28th position. Probably by the time they head down to 1, he'll have him cleared. So 28th for Burmeister. So 6 positions so far, about 8 laps of racing. So 66 is definitely going to the front right now. When he gets up to about the 20th position, I'm sure it's going to start to be a little bit harder to pass these guys. Right now, the guys in the back looks like the car's kind of a handful, and probably not driving like these guys want him to, so they're kind of laying over for him right now in the back. But like I said, once he gets a little bit closer to the front, I think his progress is probably going to be impeded just a little bit. 66 nonetheless looks good so far early on in this race.
97 of Carson Downs at position 22, trying to make a move on the 02 of Alex Chambrone, and Chambrone trying to pinch him down on the lower groove. These guys were going at it down the front straightaway. Chambrone had a little bit of a moment. Downs had to go to the inside line. He now makes up that spot. And now the 69 underneath the 02 is Chambrone. Matt Whitten looking to pick up a spot. Meanwhile, it looks like for the most part, everybody's single file right now and trying to log some laps here. 9 completed, working on 10 of 134.
Yeah, up here for about the 14th and 15th positions, you got Jarl Tyen trying to take the position away from Brandon Schmidt in the number 3 car. Brandon tries to hold it off at turn 2. He's not going to be able to do that, though. Here comes the 04 to the bottom. Tyen gets a nice run. He's going to get to the bottom right there. Up 3, still side by side against the Danny Hansen, the 78. Looking on, seeing what they're going to do. They get really close right there. Oh, they're going to wreck big time down the front stretch. Caution should be out, and they're flipping now. Huge wreck down the front stretch. Caution is out.
So the caution flag flies here as Jarl Tynen's JDR Graphics car is bent up on all 4 corners after that ride down the front straightaway. So some guys are going to have to thrash in their race cars. I think Jarl is trying to get in the wall up here in corner number 2 and trying to straighten it out a little bit better, but I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, it looked like Jarl tried to get a little bit too much of that 3's door off the corner, and a little bit of that net code and warp kind of over-exaggerated the contact, and that's what happens. Jarl from Scandinavia, Brandon Schmidt from the Mid-South portion of the United States. Doesn't matter how good the net code is, when you're that far away, the pings don't really match up all that well, and unfortunately they made contact off turn 4. That sent 3 kind of for a lazy spin down the front stretch. Danny Hansen barely misses it. The 04 gets hooked back into the wall. Malone gets some damage. Bias picks up some damage. Carson Downs hits the inside wall pretty good. Matt Whitten slides into the 04 right there. He gets some heavy front end damage as well. So a lot of good cars torn up back here around the 15th to 25th positions.
83.72, and most of these drivers on the access road coming down to the attention of their crews for the first pit stop of the evening. Lap number 12 going to be completed here as Jarrett Crawford hits the lawn. And they are headed down towards Dakota Urban. Dakota, you're going to be busy down there.
Yes, sir, without my buddy Michael Kate down here. Pit road tonight, guys, so is very important with the access road. They have to use going on pit road and getting off, so green flag pit stops can be very crucial and very difficult to do, but hearing 4 tires for most of the guys up here, too early to make much of a gamble, guys.
Right side's down for the 83, left side's up, 4 tires, like Dakota said, all the way around. Josh Berry gets a nice pit stop right there, but the first pit stall for Crawford is going to win him the race off pit road. Reset comes out 3rd, Montgomery 4th. Chad Lawton rounds out your top 5. It looks like the 40 of Josh Lawton will be 6th. Adam Gilliland up to 7th. Derek Crone up there strong in 8th in the 07. Brad Wright up into the top 10 and 9th, and rounding out the top 10 will be 32 Paul Kashiba.
And pretty solid pit stops for these drivers up in front. Not a whole lot of mistakes up there for those drivers as Jared Crawford. Flawless on pit road. He's going to come out with the lead.
Now we're step away for a short moment. Don't you go away. We'll be right back with Green Flag Racing from the Homestead Miami Speedway.
Green flag out in the 83, and Jared Crawford is gone. Another great restart for the 83. It's 72 and now 96. 96 looking to the inside. Rich Doucette looking for second. Oh boy, aggressive on turn number 1.
72 and the 96 almost got tangled up right there, but they're going to get through turns 1 and 2. They get single file all the way through the top 10. First battle is the 48 of Brad Wright, continuing his forward march to the front. He's under the 07 of Crone. He's going to get around him. And it looks like up here in the battle for the 3rd and 4th position, teammates once again, Doucette on the top in that 96. The 8 Montgomery down low. Doucette really doesn't want to give him the line, but Montgomery wants it. Here they go, side by side through 1 and 2. 8's got a nose on him. He's up to his wheel. Here they come, off at 2, still side by side. A couple car lengths back. Doucette slips. Here comes Lawton as well. Try to take over that 4th position now.
So after being aggressive on the restart, 96 going to fall back at least 2 spots. 8 and 26 going to pick up a couple of positions. 40, 81 now behind the number 96. As here comes Brad Wright on the 32 of Paul Kashiba. 48 flashing the nose in the 32. He'll look to go into corner number 1 with the spot.
Yeah, Wright's pretty darn fast right now. He started back in the 13th position, currently up to the 8th position. So 48 car is going to the front, past 32 with these right there. He's going to look over the 81 now, going to 3. It's pretty much single file all the way up through the top 15. First battle is going to be Alex Chambrone sticking it in there on the 9 of Hazard. That's a battle for 16th and 17th. Hazard and Chambrone still side by side. You got Chambrone's teammate, the 27 of Bias, right behind him. So they continue side by side through 1 and 2. 02 looks like he's going to almost clear him off at 2. Not quite yet though.
And you mentioned the 27 is there as well. Cody Bias looking to make the move on the 9. The Thomas Hazard to the outside. 27 to Bias to the inside as they go side by side for the spot. 66 continuing his march to the front. He's up to 20th, and he looks at the number 9 for position 19.
I was watching back here. We had a little bit of a problem between the 69 and the 04. 2 damaged cars off the pace. A little bit of bumper tag going on back there. I don't think Witt was too happy with Jarl's move on his teammate, Brandon Schmidt, earlier on in the race, and I think he was expressing his displeasure with him, but they're going to keep it straight. No harm, no foul. And the battle rages on. The 9 car, Thomas Hazard, still back here in the 19th position. Still a single.
17-3 around the back straightaway. Brandon Bookberger once again involved in something, and we talked about it off the top of the show, Mike. He's one of those drivers at 8 incident points. We're going to have to back this up here and see what happened, but Brandon Bookberger involved and pointed the wrong way down the back straightaway.
Yeah, I was too fixated on those two in the back, battling side by side. I didn't even notice what was going on up here. Looking at it right now, looks like Ackley, definitely looks like Bookberger's going to turn Ackley into the outside wall head on, and that's going to be another 4 points for the 17th, so that's going to put him to 12, and see you later, Bookberger. We will not see him next week in the series. He will be suspended and parked.
And of course, that is up to the series administrator, so... but it looks like, as you mentioned, he needs 2 points out of the 4 to end up on the bench for next week. So I'm sure Brandon's not going to go down without a fight. We will see him likely up front battling for a spot if he can get that car fixed and pulled out there. But speaking about pulled out, 81 going to come down pit road from position number 7, as is Derek Crone. So looks like a couple of these guys, Dakota, headed down your way.
Yeah, most guys coming down in the back wanting 4 tires. The deal with the leader staying out, though, is not the smartest thing for some of them. With these guys being on pressure tires, but there's enough staying out that they don't feel, the leaders don't quite feel it, at least Crawford and the guys up there don't quite feel that they're going to be challenged by the guys on floor, but most guys coming down for a few changes and trying to get the cars to handle correctly, I guess.
And Crawford's still your leader, Tim. He's put a really good fight up so far early on in this race. Really haven't seen a battle for the lead. Seen a battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th on back, but the 83 tonight looks like he's the class of the field. At least for the short runs, we haven't really seen a long run yet. Sure we're going to see that soon, but 83 looks like it's got pure speed early on.
Yeah, we've seen the 83 all season long be lightning quick, as has the 26 of Chad Lawton, the 8 of Dustin Montgomery. Those guys that are up in front have been up in front for the first 3 races of the season. A couple of things that I was seeing, and I talked about the one that we mentioned earlier. That's Benjamin Burmeister working his way from the rear of the field, already up to 22nd place the last time by the scoring loop. So Burmeister looking to make something happen, really looking to make a statement here this evening, trying to get up here and say that maybe not only am I looking to punch my ticket to the Drivers' World Championship, maybe I might have something for them next year.
Yeah, Burmeister is a strong competitor. I've raced with him on numerous occasions. Another one of the more aggressive drivers here in this series, and if he does indeed make it into the 2013 DWC season, I'm sure he'll be pretty aggressive there as well. So again, another driver kind of similar to Adam Gilliland in the fact that when they can tone the aggression down, they seem to be a little bit further up the running order when the race is over. Last week we saw the 66 of Burmeister get into it with the 47 of Chris Overland, which ended up having the 47 car unfortunately hooked head on into the outside wall when the 66 just misjudged and did that to him. So yeah, that's another driver right there at 66. Keep an eye on him. He's another guy that's got some points on his back going into tonight. So he'll probably be looking to race a little bit cleaner tonight, Tim. So maybe he can take a couple points off that total.
The one other driver that I did see that's quietly made his way up here throughout the field and throughout the first 3 races, want to focus on 8th place right now, Paul Kashiba in the number 32, and he had some struggles last season in the Drivers' World Championship, and struggles is probably putting it a little bit lightly for that 32 car. Up to position number 8 right now, and compared to what we saw 1 year ago, it's been a quiet season. No incident points. He's been quietly racking up finishes, and right now he sits inside that top 25 in points, sitting in position number 17 with an average finish of 18th place. I think Kashiba, if he can continue to keep his emotions under his cap, I think he's going to do very well here in this series. He's already proven through the first quarter that he has something to contend with.
Hey, he's a good driver, one of the younger drivers here. I believe he's 16 or 17 years old, something like that. So he's definitely not one of the older guys here, and he isn't the youngest either. So Kashiba, he's gaining maturity here in the service. I know he races a legend car in real life, and he does very well at that. Watched a lot of his videos, and he's a very skilled racer in the real stuff, and he's very good on the Iracing sim as well when he puts his mind to it. And this season, he's done a fantastic job, like you said, staying out of trouble, being quiet, and he's working his way up in points, and right now solidly inside the top 25. And again, that would put him into the series next season. So 32, Paul Kashiba, he's doing everything he needs to right now in the series.
Pace car in the 83 is gone again. Green flag flies. Great start for Jarrett Crawford. And now here comes Dustin Montgomery, already on the 72 with Josh Berry. He's going to clear him before corner number 1. Berry back to 3rd. Montgomery up to 2nd.
Yeah, Berry makes a smart move right there and falls in behind the 8. He saw the hole and he filled it. So good move by the 72 early on in this race. Top line, as we're going to look back here with the 26 and the 40, top line really doesn't work too well unless you have a teammate under that's willing to let you go, as is the 40 to the 26, or maybe not, spoke too soon. Those guys really racing each other hard early on. That's all teammates right there, the 96, the 26, the 40, the 8, the 83, all teammates that racing each other pretty hard right now, not cutting each other any slack. 26 is going to go back another position behind the 40. 48, Brad Wright's going to stick his nose in there as well. 26 sees him coming. There he comes. 26 moves up the track. He's going to lose position to 48, possibly the 32 and the 15 as well.
And here comes the 15, as you mentioned, to Josh Connors, slowly working his way up and quietly working his way up in the Ultra 4 Sim, Tim's Corner Motorsports, number 15, as he makes his way in underneath the number 26 of Chad Lawton. I asked him last week, I said, the first 3 races haven't gone the way you wanted to. New paint scheme, figured that it would probably do something for you. He said, so if the tux doesn't work, what are you going to do? He said, if we don't do good here at Homestead, you might see us show up next week in a Hawaiian shirt.
Well, whatever works, I guess. And they need to have a Hawaiian paint scheme, then so be it. It looks like the tuxedo is doing a good job so far, Tim. Currently up in the 8th position, solidly inside the top 10. Now it looks like the 26 might be a little bit faster than him right now, but 15 car looks pretty solid right now early on in this race, 27 laps in. So good run so far for Connors.
And just behind them, Danny Hansen, one of my picks in the fantasy. I don't think my picks are doing too well here this evening as of yet. Danny Hansen leading them up, as Hansen is now under fire from Adam Gilliland in the 81, the 02 of Chambrone, the 9 of Thomas Hazard. That's the battle for 10th. On back is Gilliland, looking to make something happen off 4. What a run for the core pipe, number 81.
Yeah, it's 4 fresh tires right there on the 81 car. His teammate also got 4 tires as well. 07. He's really not even in tow with Gill, and the 07 car is pretty far back in the field. So 81 making use of those 4 tires. He comes and bypasses the 78 Hansen. So Hansen back to 11th place, and Gilliland back inside the top 10. So again, another solid run for the 81, who's currently solidly up inside the top 5 in points. So a good run for him, especially with Carson Downs having his troubles early on.
And look who's coming back up through the field as well. Benjamin Burmeister, 66, underneath the number 9 of Thomas Hazard. That's the battle for 13th position, as Burmeister looks to move up one more spot and make a statement here. Burmeister passes Hazard and now sets his sights on a top 10.
A battle for the 8th position up here, 26 of Lawton. He's going to take the spot away from the 15 of Connors. Gilliland, again, with the 4 fresh tires, he's going to come under the 15, trying to take a spot away as well. That'll kick Connors back to the 10th position. Adam Gilliland up to 9th and Lawton up to 8th. Danny Hansen tried to make a move right there, actually slid up a little bit wide through 1 and 2. Now he's got pressure from the 02 car. 02, that's Chambrone. He's going to take the spot away. Here comes Burmeister. He's going to take one away as well from the 78. So Hansen right now, I don't know, it looks like the car isn't driving too well, Tim. Maybe he's trying to save his tires. I'm not too sure, but the 78 is definitely going the wrong direction.
And he's continuing to go the wrong direction. Oh, he gets into the 9 of Thomas Hazard at a corner number 4. Great piece of driving by those guys to keep it straight.
There was an abandoned car up in turn 4, and looked like Matt Whitten, and good job by Hansen to look out for that. And unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be a 4X from 78 to the 9, but 4X doesn't really make a difference at this point. A good piece of driving not to kill them both right there by Hansen. So that'll be the 3rd caution of the night, Tim, and so far an uncharacteristically tough start to a Homestead race.
I'm not sure what happened there to the number 69 of Matt Witt, and it may have been something as simple as a hardware issue, because that car just shoots straight up the racetrack into the corner number 3 and 4 fence, and then it gets going again. Could it possibly have been a screen issue, maybe a video card issue, something along those lines? Because I don't think Matt Witten would do that to come up there and cause a yellow flag like that.
It looks like he blew right front tire, Tim. He actually said it over the voice chat. I was able to hear him. How that car showed up the track definitely looked like it, and verifies what he said. So I guess with all that damage on the front of the 69, it blew that right front out. It's very hard to do that right now in this with this tire, but he did, and you can see his car is definitely leaning to the right as he drove away. So blown right front tire for the 69, the first blown tire we've seen all season, and probably the last, as that doesn't happen all too often. So kind of a rarity here seen tonight with that blown tire.
Because everybody coming down pit road besides Derek Cronin, I believe he is one lap down and staying out and cannot pit yet. But I believe it's Adam Gilliland taking 2 tires, beating everybody off the pit road. Everybody else taking 4, starting with Jerry Crawford winning 2nd off the pit road, with Josh Berry 3rd. Josh Connors, I believe, took 2 tires and came out 4th, guys.
So this is going to shake everything up a little bit here as we look up through the field. Jared Crawford in that number 83 has Adam Gilliland in front of him now. So Gilliland with some strategy. We talked about him earlier coming in and getting 4 tires. Now Gilliland is out in front of this field with Derek Crone, I believe, trying to get the wave around here in the 07. So what do you think about this strategy here with the 81?
Risky. Maybe, yeah, definitely risky. I could definitely say that. Tires fall off pretty bad here. A lot of grip loss after a couple laps. I saw how much those 4 fresh tires meant for the 81 as he took them. And now he takes no tires, or 2 tires, so we're going to see how that plays on with his car.
We are going to step away for a quick commercial break because I believe we have rain over corner number 4. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hey dude, are you ready to rock and roll? If that's cool, then you need to do it over at HD Radio Network. HD Radio Network, 4 stations broadcasting 24/7 with everything from metal favorites to the 80s classic rock like legendary Leonard Skinner, Electric Light Orchestra, Foreigner, and bone-rattling, skull-crushing rock and roll on hard driving radio. Bear Factory, Stone Temple Pilots, Def Leppard, and a whole lot more. HDRadionetwork.com. Take your pick and rock your brains out, dude.
Welcome back to the Homestead Miami Speedway, and the rain that we talked about over corner number 4 has soaked the racetrack. If you are new to iRacing, if you're new to sim racing, We have to have a server to run in, and it looks like that server has gone down at this point. So we are currently under a rain delay waiting to hear what's the next move from the iRacing officials. And because, Mike, this hasn't happened before in a NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship race.
No. Yeah. I was getting really nervous when I fell out. I was like, wait a minute, why am I falling out? And then our producer, John Wessling, comes over and said, everyone fall out? I said, oh, okay, it wasn't just me. So that's well, I want to say it's funny, but it's not funny. That's going to really cause some havoc. I don't know if they can really restart that or not, or if they have to put it at a different date or what. But that's interesting. We've seen a lot of weird things tonight. Blown tires and server crashes. That's interesting indeed.
Well, this is the first time I've ever been able to do this. We're going to have a rain delay interview with Adam Gilliland, your current leader of the race, or leader when the rain started falling. Adam, what's your thought here? First, talk about the pit strategy here to put you out in front of this field.
Well, yeah, I took 4 tires on the lap 24 caution, I believe, when everyone stayed out, just to be on offense and not play defense. And then I planned on coming in and taking 4 tires, but for some reason it was checked on 2 tires. I mean, if I was going to take 2, I would have made some adjustments, and that didn't even get any adjustments. So if it would have stayed green, I probably would have been, I'd have to pit. But now that it's the craziest thing that's probably ever happened in Pro Series history, at least, I don't know what's going to happen from here.
We do get this race restarted and going again. What are your predictions for this race? Do you think you have a winning car that can end up winning this thing and maybe put your third place points up a little bit higher?
Yeah, without a doubt. Got to thank Cody Bias and everyone at Schmitten for the work on the setup. It's definitely fast. But the Wheelman Inc. guys, they really do got something figured out at this place. I think they qualified all top 5. If not, Josh Berry was up there. But they all ran solid the whole race. And if we get back going, they're definitely going to be strong. But if it goes back green, I'm definitely looking just to get a top 5 finish.
I want to ask you about your season as well, because you've been, and we mentioned it off the top of the pre-race show, you've been a little bit quiet so far this season, but you've been clicking off those points, 3rd in the point standings. How big is it to come out of this series, not only in the top 25, but let's say a top 5 run in the series overall, to push yourself into that Drivers' World Championship in 2013?
Yeah, if I can get out of the Pro Series with top 5 in points, it'll definitely be a pretty big momentum heading into the Drivers' World Championship. But right now, I'm pretty satisfied with where I'm at. I'm 3rd in points, even with a 19th place finish. So I'm just going to keep clicking off the laps. It's been pretty much a wreck fest these first couple races, but I anticipate it to get better. And we'll have to see where it goes from here. But I'm just looking to get a top 5 in points, if not a top 10. That'll be even good. That'll be good as well.
You do have some sponsors on your race car. Who makes it happen for you each week?
Yeah, I got to thank CorePipe, GSRacing.net, Gary Mercer Trucking Inc., JDR Graphics, Tim with Tim's Corner Motorsports, and all the boys back at Schmidt and Chassis Works.
So that's Adam Gilliland, driver of the number 81, current leader when the server decided to end its time with us. I guess you can call it a little bit of a rain delay. Adam Gilliland is currently the unofficial leader of this race. Mike, we're sitting around right now trying to figure out what's going to happen. We're waiting for the word from the iRacing officials as to what to do next.
Yeah, it's just it's a waiting game at this point. My lord, that's interesting. I don't know what's going to happen because this has never happened before. Never in a DWC race, never in a pro race. The closest thing to happen would possibly be a World Tour event having server issues, which they did have server issues with one of the Daytona 500s one year. They ended up restarting that race, but the way that they schedule these things, the Pro Series scheduler and the World Tour scheduler, I'm not sure if they have the same luxury to be able to restart races willy-nilly when they want to with this kind of stuff. So it'll be very interesting. I don't know how they're going to go about giving people their spots back. I don't know if the server saves that information before it goes down. Are they just going to restart the race and qualify again? I'd be very surprised if we see this thing start again tonight. We're pretty much at the equivalent of a completely soaked track at this point, in my point of view.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head here. I don't know if iRacing has it programmed. I don't think they have it programmed to restart where we were with Adam Gilliland as the leader and with however many laps we had completed in the race. They probably have the qualifying redone. You can probably restart the race off the top and run the way we did for qualifying, but that will put guys that had worked hard for the first a quarter of that race back to where they were. Benjamin Burmeister would be starting 34th as opposed to running in the top 20 where he was. So I don't know where they go from here, but I'm sure the iRacing officials and everybody at the iRacing office is probably pulling their hair, or what's left of their hair, out of their scalp.
Yeah, I would be if I were them, so I'm sure that they all are. It sounds like we're trying to get the head official, Shannon Whitmore, into the team speak. Hopefully we can have a word with him, see what he's got to say about all this. Very interesting night, Tim. Like I said, from tire failures to server crashes, we've seen everything. And, like we always say, TV is the innovator and a lot of things, sim broadcasting. And we've innovated tire failures on a hard compound tonight. And we've innovated server crashes in a series that isn't supposed to crash. So we're doing pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I think the one thing we're missing right now, Mike, is we have a TeamSpeak server set up where all the drivers can come in after the race, before the race, get interviews. There's no other place for them to go right now. We have most of the drivers up there, and I think there's a recording going on up there, so I'm not sure what we're missing, but I'm pretty sure we're missing something good up there. It might be the not safe for work version of that up there, so we'll leave that there. We're waiting, once again, on word to find out what's going on with the fourth round of this NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. And I think back to the Road Series, iRacing had some issues with their previous build, and they couldn't get some servers up, and it prevented round number one of that series, the NASCAR or the iRacing Road Pro Series, from going green flag racing, and then they got kicked back to 9 races. I'm not sure if this is going to happen here or what's next for this series, for this round, but I know with Homestead, we've seen some fantastic racing in the first half of this race.
Yeah, we certainly have, and I've caught up with Carson McClelland, one of the spectators of this series, kind of in the same position that I am. We both made DWC for 2013. Carson, sitting home watching this race, you hear that the server went down. What do you think about this? This is pretty interesting. What's your point on it, and do you think they should restart this thing? Should they postpone it? If you were Shannon Whitmore, what would you do?
Well, I mean, it's a great point. What do we do? Because this has not happened really since we started the DWC, and I know last year at least, it was my first season last year, and Mike, I don't remember it happening. So honestly, I think it's a good thing. I mean, it's bad for this series, but at the same time, it's a feeder series for the big time, and this is a good time to really figure out what will iRacing do when the server goes down. So we're really going to find out now what happens. I mean, personally, my opinion, I say let's go at it again. I posted in the forums, it's just like 2001 All-Star Race. They started the race, there was rain, they all wrecked. They said, hey, you know what, it was a mistake on our part, i.e. the servers, iRacing owns the servers. We'll restart the race, we'll give everybody a fresh, clean start, and we'll run it good. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I definitely could see that point. That's a good point. Bring back the 2001 All-Star Race, like you said. Started raining down turn one. They all went packing it down in there, and they ended up wadding it up. And speaking of wadding it up, so far, Carson, we've had 3 cautions, or maybe we're on the 4th. I don't even know right now. My memory's pretty bad. We've had a bunch of cautions so far early on in this Homestead race, and as you know, you've been around this long enough. Homestead's usually a pretty clean race. Take the people at home, take them through how have these cars evolved in the latest builds to make them more prone to having more accidents. Are the cars harder to drive, or is everyone just running closer times to where people can't get away from each other and they're just too close to each other? Like what exactly is going on here tonight?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, people who have not really experience what we experience, behind the wheel, behind the sim wheel of what it's like in iRacing, it is hard to really grasp why is it that we're all wadded up. But it's really simple. I think in the beginning, when iRacing started, the tire was very complex, and they've kind of made it easy, a little bit easier to drive, and it should be because everybody comes to iRacing to be able to drive the car, the big time guys drive. So they kind of made it a little bit easier, and in time in that process of making it easier to drive, it closed that gap from the really fast, what we all call the alien, to the kind of status quo sim racer. So it's really hard to get separation out. You really got to work at it. So it really comes down to the fact that we try to make it easier for everybody. And now we're kind of in the big series, the Pro Series, and DWC. All of us, we're kind of biting the bullet for it. But at the same time, we have to work through it. We got to kind of adapt, evolve, adapt or die. And it's part of the deal. It's tough, but at the same time, you gotta just work through it. It really is. It's tough. Nose to tail, single file. You're anxious. You're running 20th, and 2 builds ago, you were running top 5. It's frustrating, but you just gotta fight through it.
Definitely, Carson. I feel your pain, and I think a lot of others feel your pain too. So let's hope that Dave can work something out in this off season. So when we get back racing in February, we can have something a little bit racier to compete on. Before I let you go, I thank your sponsors. Give a shout out to anyone while you're on the air.
I got to give a shout out to my team, Sim Chassis. I had to go away for 3 months for some business I had to take care of. I cannot thank them enough for not giving up on me. A great team, great friggin' team. We're kind of the underdog right now in the Pro Series, but Sim Chassis all the way. Awesome team. We come together when we have to. We don't give up. Great team. Can't thank them enough. Got to thank Josh Chin for all the support in the DWC series. I hope maybe in the future we can work together again, and go Navy.
All right, everybody. That's Carson McClelland, driver the number 46 in the DWC season. He will be back once again, 2013. Down to Tim Terry, who's caught up at the C Giraffe, Josh Connors.
While we wait for this rain to pass here, Josh Connors, I know you're no weather forecaster, but what are you seeing up here?
It looks pretty grim, but, we've never really faced this so far, so I don't really know what they're going to do. In my opinion, but I'm a little biased because I'm in 4th as it crashed, so they should just call the race and have the points as they ran.
Yeah, this car's been running pretty good so far tonight. You worked your way up from about a mid-pack start. Talk about the race that we've had so far at Homestead.
Overall, I thought it was a pretty good race. I mean, everybody was giving and taking, and it was relatively smooth. I think everybody just kind of waited until it got spread out, but it just, we'd have a caution here or there that would gather everybody back up. But my car was really, really good. I mean, that doesn't happen very often for me, so it's kind of sucks that we're in this situation, but, kind of is what it is.
And I told everybody a little bit earlier on, you're currently sitting in 30th place in the point standings, and I was talking to J.D. Laird, and I said, so the tuxedo not really working out in the first 3 races? He said, yeah, if it happens that we start to continue to get bad runs, then we're likely going to end up changing to a Hawaiian shirt. Are we going to see a Hawaiian shirt anytime soon on the car?
Maybe. At this point, we might as well just not even go with the paint at all. Because I don't think anything's really helping my luck lately, but, who knows? Maybe that will, but it just seems like every time I have a good run, something happens. Like tonight, it's just, if it's not one thing, it's another.
When you look at the next half of the schedule here, what are you seeing? What are you circling on your schedule as the race that I could very well win before we end off this season?
Well, to be honest with you, I never looked at the schedule that close, so I don't really know what all we go to, but I know we go to like Kentucky and Richmond and stuff. If we still go to Richmond, I'd really like to run there because I always tend to do good.
Before we let you go, I know you have sponsors on the car. Who would you like to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Ultra Force Sim for being my primary for a couple seasons now. Tim's Corner Motorsports, Alternatives Incorporated, JDR Graphics, and C Giraffe Incorporated.
And that's Josh Connors, driver the number 15, the tuxedo car. And a man that probably looks really good in the tuxedo is Shannon Whitmore, the series administrator here for the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. Shannon, where do we go from here?
I look awesome in a tuxedo. Super duper.
Always wanted to leave us speechless up here, Shannon. This is one of those one in a million scenarios that we have here. We rarely see this. We've never seen this in one of the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series or one of the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship races. What's the plan moving on here with the Homestead race?
Well, we're not running the race tonight, obviously. It's not as simple as a matter of just restarting a server. The scheduler isn't set up, and the way the series is set up, and how the series is scheduled, it can't be done tonight. So there's not going to be a race tonight. There's not going to be a race. We're not going to reschedule it because we got the holiday here in the States, the Thanksgiving. So as of right now, it's Happy Thanksgiving. And the results will not be official because we didn't go past halfway. So it was only about lap 30.
Yeah, it was about lap 30 or so. Now, with this race being put off the schedule, what are we going to do possibly with a drop week, or have you guys even thought about that yet?
No, right now I'm still with the engineers to make sure that the race doesn't score. But in all likelihood, and won't know for sure, and I'll send all the drivers an email, but when we had the issue with the weather with the road series with Hurricane Sandy, we just canceled that race, and then we added, because of the way the drop weeks work and the race actually being on the schedule, we just added a drop week. So everybody basically gets this one as a free one, and then we add a drop week. We added a drop week. So essentially there's 2 drop weeks, but everybody's got a 0 for one of them. So everybody's on equal footing. So that may be what we do. We can't really extend the season out past what it already is. So it'll likely be just a drop week. Now, whether we push the tracks on the schedule back or replace one of the tracks later on with Homestead, we'll see. But as of right now, don't know for sure.
And Shannon, this is Dakota here, and I'm just kind of wondering what exactly happened to make the server crash the way it did.
I don't know why it crashed, so I don't know. The engineers are still looking at it, so I don't even know. So for me to say what would make it or what made it, I'd have to know from the engineers, and they're still looking at it. The priority right now is to get the engineers online so that they can terminate and make sure that the series doesn't actually score, based on the running order. So we need to make sure it's since it's less than halfway, that everybody essentially gets a 0. If for some reason they can't do that, then we'll have to go in and try to manually, make sure that things get scored the way it should get scored. But basically, it's a non-race. That's essentially what it is.
And I've got a bunch of drivers kind of sending me a bunch of questions right now for you, and I know one of them is a somewhat important one. Will suspended drivers be able to race next week with this race not counting?
That's not really something right now. The priority is to find out what happened and then get everything squared away so we can get the next race for next weekend or for next Tuesday.
And I think
the answer is right now. I haven't thought about it, and I haven't. It's an issue secondary right now to figuring out the series on a whole, how we're going to proceed forward versus a few drivers.
I think the only one that might be right now a little more disappointed than anybody else is Josh Connor, so he cannot bribe you with a suit.
A suit?
You've seen the tuxedo car?
Yeah. Well, yes and no. I mean, not up close.
He says it makes him look good, so I don't know. It put him up to 4th before the rain fell, so I don't know. He's been trying to bribe me all season long, so I don't know if that's going to work with you or not.
No, I can't be bribed.
I know my price is pretty high as well. That's Shannon Whitmore, the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series and NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship lead official. So, guys, we're rained out for this evening. Final thoughts before we shut her down. Mike, we saw some great racing at Homestead before we saw the rain.
We certainly did. Well, yeah, I guess that's a wrap. I don't really have much to say. I'm kind of speechless. I've never seen anything like that before, and I've been here for almost 3 years now. And well, iRacing will always keep you guessing, I guess. So good job tonight by these guys. They put a lot of hard work in. this week to get these setups right. I know I did to supply my team with a good setup, and unfortunately I won't be able to use that. Hopefully I'll be able to use that the next to a mile and a half. But congrats, Adam Gilliland, for leading at the time that the rains came. I know it doesn't mean anything right now, but I'm sure we'll see that 81 up front once again some point in the future. So yeah, Tim, this is definitely a first in the NASCAR iRacing Series World Championships world, and we'll just see what happens next time.
I'm sure Adam will have the consolation of being an answer to a trivia question or something along those lines when we look back on this race. I see Dakota Ehrman has stepped out here. We'll see if he can't get in here for a quick moment. The one thing that I'm happy about, though, is the fantasy picks that I made earlier this evening will be thrown out the window. So, and for guys like Carson Downs, who ended up having a tough run at the start of this race, they'll get to have a little bit of a breather and wait for next week. Dakota Ehrman, final thoughts.
Unfortunately, this race ended early, but I mean, it's kind of cool that Shannon Whitmore was able to come in and clarify things before he was able to with anybody else. I'm rather excited for next week. It's just, after the controversy tonight, I'm excited to see what people can do next week. I know it's unfortunate for Jerry Crawford. I mean, this is one of probably his strongest weeks yet, and I mean, he was showing it there, and he's kind of dominating at the start, which is unfortunate that he doesn't get to show or get the stats there at the end. And with all the strategy you played through, I kind of somewhat you wish that it would actually been counted, and you could have seen somebody's getting a bunch of random points or something. But unfortunately, that's not how it's going to go. But looking forward to next week, guys.
And, of course, next week we'll be back at it on Tuesday evening, and these NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series drivers will be going at it again, but they'll be going at it at the Pocono Raceway, 80 laps, and it lends itself to some different racing, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of action. We've seen some drama there in the past in those NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship races at Pocono, so that's 1 week time on November 28th. That's going to do it for us here this evening on ETV Live. So for all of us here, John Westland, Dakota Ehrman, Mike Conti, my name is Tim Terry, saying we will see you in 1 week time when we say let's go racing from the Pocono Raceway. Keep the hammer down, and we'll see you at the track.